right, welcome back. We are here with Matt Hogan. He is part of the Connecticut State Police. He's actually an on-chain blockchain detective. I think that's a pretty cool title. I think I might have just invented that title for you right there.
I'll take it. Write that down.
Nice to meet you, Matt.
You too. Thanks for having me.
Of course. How's your conference so far?
It's been awesome. It's really, really good, and it's close to home, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
So,
I'm in North Jersey, so I'm like 2 hours out.
Yeah, it's about what it takes to get from Eastern Connecticut to here, so it's perfect.
There you go. Tell us a little bit about what you do. It's really interesting to me because I work, I cover a lot of the AML, KYC issues on the federal level, kind of what's going on in the market structure bill, the Genius Act, how we're treating, on-chain crime, and what that's going to look like under this new federal regulatory regime. But you deal with state and local level, which is a totally different beast from what you're telling me. So give us a little insight into what you do on a daily basis.
So I guess would say we probably deal with the most of the fraud, at least in the stateside world. In Connecticut, we deal with all the fraud for the most part. You have a lot of the federal agencies that do the large picture cases, but we deal with a lot of the major victims that commingle into the bigger federal cases down the road. So some cases don't necessarily get to meet the criteria for federal investigation. There's a lot of those. So state and locals deal with those on a daily basis. So
how many would you say you get per year?
We're over 100 a year cases, and that's assisting locals as well as our own agency, and then and federal as well. So sometimes feds are busy with other things, and they don't have the resources available at that point, so they'll enlist us to assist.
What determines federal jurisdiction versus state jurisdiction?
Well, state is obviously in the state of Connecticut, so we have to have a Connecticut-based victim in order for us to be involved in it, typically. For federal, cross jurisdictions, cross boundaries, so if I go to New Jersey or wherever else, then you now have a federal investigation, dollar thresholds usually, so we'll take a lot of the smaller,
And is there an official threshold,
No,
or
there's
it
not.
kind of fluctuates and
It
depends?
fluctuates, yeah.
And what do those look like? What kind of scams are you dealing with? Is it?
Yeah, what are the most?
Yeah.
I mean,
What are the most common?
The most common. Yeah.
The worst is pig butchering, right?
Right.
Aaron West talks about it on a daily basis. I deal with Operation Shamrock as their law enforcement lead too. So
Can you explain pig butchering just for our audience, just who
very
might not be
quickly.
familiar? Yeah.
So we didn't create the title. Pig butchering is Shazupan, and it basically is what the scammers call pig butchering. So it's a large-scale investment romance fraud that takes place. It's based over in Southeast Asia. It's run by the Chinese organized crime groups, and they enlist human trafficked victims to victimize U.S. citizens of their assets by using cryptocurrency as a methodology.
So it would be someone overseas, maybe impersonating someone, coming to me saying, hey, I want you to invest in my trading startup, and then I would give them money and they would give me some returns to build trust.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of like...
those ambiguous text messages. Hey, Joanne, how are you?
Yes, I get them every day.
It's one of those.
Okay.
So that's how it's
I get
Every
10 a
day.
day.
Yep.
So those are people in China.
Well, in Southeast Asia, so Cambodia, Myanmar, Thailand, that area.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's gaining trust in whatever way they do.
Yeah, they use social engineering tactics, obviously a large portion of this, but because they are such a multi-billion-dollar organization now, they can afford to enlist PhD-type quality people to write scripts for them. So if you're getting a text message and you're building that trust and relationship, the responses they get back to you have been predetermined by someone who's like an expert in social engineering.
Wow.
And then it ultimately results in you've gained your trust in this person, and you need money for whatever reason. And
usually it's, hey, you're downtrodden in your investments. Hey, look, the markets kind of suck right now. How can you get wealthy pretty quickly, right? Take advantage of this crypto market is doing really well. So they'll get you interested in that by showing wealth inadvertently. Like they'll take a picture of themselves and they'll be inside of a Porsche. Or, hey, I'm going to get my grandfather a watch at Rolex, and they're taking a picture of the watches and sending them to you. So they do it on purpose to kind of say, oh, I can tell this person's wealthy just by the conversation I'm having with them. So you now trust the investment advice they're going to give you down the road.
I have a few impersonators on X who people come to me on DMs and they say, hey, Eleanor, are you messaging me on a side app asking me to invest in your trading startup? I said, no. That's why I put in my bio, this is my only X account. But I feel like that is happening more and more these days. And they're using cryptocurrency as sort of the means to an end, right? People who, they will lure you in via this new technology. You can't necessarily, these massive gains that we're seeing in the market, I can help you make a lot of money.
We're even seeing it at you mentioned TRM before.
Yeah.
Chain abuse has had people mimicking their website and
Yep.
applications. So people are texting people via WhatsApp saying, hey, I work at Chain Abuse. This is me. I'm here to help you. You're a victim. And it's not obviously TRM or Chain Abuse doing that. It's a scammer. So
This show is being brought to you by our sponsor, Trueflation. Professional investors and economists and probably any casual observers know that government inflation statistics are only an approximation of what real inflation is. Not only that, but the government has a conflict of interest because high inflation can be so damaging to the economy, the deficit, and our $36 trillion in debt. Trueflation collects over 80 million pricing data points. Most are updated daily to reveal inflation with precision for asset managers, governments, companies, and the general public. Check them out at trueflation.com. Ever get the macro call right and still lose money? That's because it was already priced in. But now with Interactive Brokers Forecast Trader, you can actually predict the outcome itself. CPI, Fed hikes, election results, all of it. This platform was built by an entrepreneur from Hungary who came here with no English, taught himself to code, snuck a computer onto the trading floor in the 1980s, and ever since he's been building technology for you, not Wall Street. Global markets, Bitcoin, and low fees. Click the link, try it out. Interactive Brokers just gets it. Obviously, if you're tracking this down in foreign countries, it's out of your jurisdiction. There's not much you can do, right?
no.
Or are you able to?
No, you can. So I think that the problem with law enforcement as we see it now is there needs to be a mindset shift of what law enforcement looks like when you're working financial crime cases, especially crypto.
Right.
We have to stop worrying about like, okay, well, you came to me with a crypto case. I need to take your phone, download it, do a search warrant to get your contact. I don't care about any of that.
Right.
I need your wallet address that you sent money to, and I need to trace it. That's all I care about right now is that I need to follow that money until it gets to an exchange, to an off-ramp, and then see what happens from that point. I don't care right now about who you were talking to because that information and data is always going to be there. The money's not.
And that tracing is getting easier and easier, right? The companies that do that can do it real time. And
analysis, Elliptic, there's a million really great companies out there that are doing great work, and we love working with them, so it helps.
And how quickly is the normal turnaround between time of crime and cashing out when somebody walks into a bank or puts a note?
Question. I mean, it depends. Pig butchering cases obviously are long-term frauds, but as soon as the money is in the system, it's moving instantaneously.
I'll bet, yeah.
So the money is moving right away, but we typically will ask them, hey, if you came to me right now, give me your last investment that you just made. I want that one first, and then work backwards. Whereas if you have a pop-up window scam or something like that, those are weird. They kind of almost sit dormant for a while sometimes. And I think now we see a lot of DeFi coming into the mix. They initially were going to like mixers and stuff like that.
Oh, right.
We're not really seeing that as much anymore. They're bridging over to different tokens, and they're going back and forth on Tron and stuff. And there's commingling assets and just getting really trying to confuse us by commingling more so than using like Monero or something like that.
Mm-hmm. How often do you get people's money back?
I think our success rate is like they're about 10%.
Okay. Wow.
So we've in the
Higher than I would have guessed.
Yeah.
for statewide nationally we're like pretty high. I think we've seized in the 3.5, 4 years we've been doing it's like 4.2-ish million for victims.
Wow.
But that's a drop in the bucket for losses. So
Yeah.
Do the mixers work? How often can you actually track it all the way through mixers and into the end?
I enlist the real experts for that
Yeah.
stuff. But we will talk to companies that like Chainhouse or the TRM to ask them to assist us with those processes.
Yeah.
And they have the capability of doing that.
Yeah,
It's just a
interesting,
matter of,
that was my impression too.
Yeah.
How are you thinking about the current administration's approach to, I guess, fraud in the space? The DOJ recently put out a missive that kind of said we're gonna roll back going after the people who set up these mixers, these software developers, right? Who make the protocols, who actually develop the software. They're not the bad actors themselves. They're the people that build the tech that the bad actors use.
Yeah.
Is that going to make your job a little bit more difficult, a little bit more like easy, kind of neutral? Like, how are you thinking about that?
I mean, and this is all my perspective, obviously.
Yeah.
That's state police's perspective at all, but and this is part of our 1 o'clock session almost, so you're like walking right into it.
Oh, great.
Here. So, I don't think that, it's like am I going to arrest the U.S. Navy for creating Tor? Right? Tor is used widely for dark web material, but
Right.
you're not going to arrest the naval officers who created Tor. It just doesn't make any sense to me in an aspect. My goal is more so the actors that are involved in the fraud itself.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. I'm not going to arrest the CEO of Jamie Dimon for people laundering money through J.P. Morgan.
Seems to make sense.
Yeah.
That's just how I think. And plus, at state level, it's such. I'm small fish looking at the bigger picture. So
It's like boiling the ocean, right?
Yeah.
It's actually the term that Ari used, Ari from TRM Labs on our podcast a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
It doesn't really make sense, but the prior administration was taking that approach. And I wonder if more fraud was able to be, slip through the cracks as opposed to actually, solving more crimes under that approach.
yeah, it's tough because state and local is so not focused on this area right now.
Right.
We're focused on the homicides and the robberies, and there's no one who really specializes in this, but you really need to, because our argument's always been every case involves money. And then now that things are starting to switch over to digital money, even more so now than ever, you need to have someone involved. Because if I'm a drug dealer in the corner right here, how am I moving my money around? It's bank accounts, and then now beyond that, it's crypto. So you have to, I think, broaden our horizons about what crime looks like now.
Is it easier to track criminals who are transacting in crypto than in cash or?
I want to say yes to that because then they'll stop doing it. Yeah. Because we're bound by the legal process, obviously. So everything I do has to follow the letter of the law. So for me to have to go through all those hurdles of search warrants, subpoenas in front of a judge and a state's prosecutor, it takes time. I have to write the search warrant, it has to get approved, all that. Whereas blockchain, it's open source. I can hop right on your wallet address.
You don't need any permission.
It's all there. So I love that.
Exciting. Awesome. And I guess my last question for you, what's one thing that, our audience might not understand about, crypto crime? Like, what's something interesting that you think would be cool for our listeners to learn about what you do every day and the message that you're trying to bring?
We're proud to be sponsored by Foundation. They've created Passport, one of the top-rated Bitcoin hardware wallets, proudly made in the USA. It's fully open source and air-gapped, meaning your Bitcoin stays completely offline and secure. The shocking Bybit exchange hack shows why holding some Bitcoin offline diversifies risk. Now they're launching Passport Prime, your all-in-one solution for not only Bitcoin, but all passwords and 2FA security. Head to foundation.xyz to secure your digital future.
What's something interesting that you think would be cool for our listeners to learn about what you do every day and the message that you're trying to bring?
It takes patience. We need time. So, try not to don't mind our delays and responses to things, because a lot of these things are very nuanced and take a lot of time. And we have, unfortunately, we have a large caseload and not so many people. So for me to focus on your one case, whereas I have a large caseload of other cases besides crypto, I have an attention span that I have to kind of direct. So.
And are there any just best practices for individuals
That's a good question.
to prevent becoming a pig slaughtered
Don't
and
answer
in
those
your office?
text messages that you get every day.
Yeah, it's like not your keys, not your coin, right? It's also not, if you don't have someone in your text message group, you don't know them, then just disregard it, honestly. If someone tells you, hey, you switch over to WhatsApp, it's a fraud, almost immediately. Like, no one uses WhatsApp to communicate other unless it's fraud or you're trying to hide something.
What about Telegram? Are you seeing fraud on Telegram?
I'm terrified of Telegram.
Okay.
Because they have ton token now, which is going to be an inclusive token on their ecosystem that I don't know if we're going to, I'm sure we will, but it's going to be a challenge, I think, for law enforcement, because as we're talking about, if we don't have someone that specializes in this area, now you're bringing an entire ecosystem of end-to-end encryption in top of a blockchain mixed into it with money moving on it. I'm like, it's going to be a problem.
No, that's really good advice. State it again.
Yeah.
If you're on Telegram, don't get involved
no
in
Telegram groups unless you know who they are. If you set them up,
and definitely no money going into it.
Yeah, talk to your investment advisors. Come to us if you have questions about something. We can hopefully tell you if it's a fraud or not.
Awesome. Matt, thank
That's
you so
great.
much.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Appreciate it.
Really interesting. Hey, if you like this clip, please hit the subscribe button. You might also want to check out some of the clips I've posted with my many other guests. My interviews all address the simple question, how screwed are we? We ask experts about the problems that make Americans so pessimistic today, but we also explore why there's never been a better time to have been born than today. Join us for perspective on today's challenges and opportunities.